Hi, this is an executive summary of Pfizer by Doctors Melissa Martinez, George Thomas, and Donna Yeiser. In the summary, we'll look at the U.S. brand name pharmaceutical manufacturing industry, which Pfizer is a part of. We'll look at the industry's key competitive and driving forces, key success factors, and competitors' strengths and weaknesses. In relation to Pfizer, we'll review their financial and business strengths and weaknesses, as well as opportunities and threats created by the industry trends. We will conclude with subsequent strategic management recommendations of ways for the company's competitive position to improve over the next 5 years. First, pestle trends. Political trends can be affected by the FDA and their regulations, the DEA and their regulations, and future elections that may shift the balance of power of political parties. Economic factors that can affect the industry involve the ability to obtain and keep private health insurance, as well as a business's ability to invest the money in research and development. Social trends are mainly related to prescription drug use and needs. The medical prescriptions dispensed in the U.S. has increased significantly over the past decade, up to 170% increase. The number of patients with chronic medical conditions requiring medicine is expected to increase, as well as the number of prescriptions that need to be filled. There's also an estimated 20 million new cancer cases, with a projected increase of up to 35 million by 2050. The number of adults 65 or older is currently estimated at 63.4 million and will continue to grow. As you can see from this graph, those over 65 have the largest increase from 2015 to 2060 projected. There are also various technological, environmental, and legal factors that are at play here as well.
When performing a five forces analysis for the industry, one can see that the rivalry level is high and it is increasing. This is due to the high level of national and international competition, as well as a constant effort from the big players in this industry and others on the continued development of drugs, as well as relaxing government regulations allowing pharmaceutical companies to import products from Canada. Because this is a highly regulated, mature, and well-established industry, and the capital requirement to initiate and maintain business is so high, the threat is low. However, the relaxing regulations, once again allowing the import of pharmaceuticals from Canada, leads to an increasing threat of entry. The bargaining power of buyers increases as brand name patents expire, which provide options to purchase, if available, generic products. With possible exclusivity agreements between brand name pharmaceuticals and insurance companies, this can be mitigated. But the wide spread of information via technology also informs customers of other options, so the bargaining power of the buyers is increasing. Due to the existence of a variety of companies that supply the raw materials, the bargaining power of suppliers is low. This is also due to the pressure exerted by reputable companies with a large market share to keep low supplier prices, and this seems to be steady over time.
We'll turn our attention to key success factors. The pharmaceutical industry has a long history of innovative drug development and profitability. Ensuring a constant flow of medications to the market and protecting the revenue-generating potential of these medications are key to continued success in this industry. The following key success factors ensure that these functions remain unimpeded. The first is a strong focus on research and development and bringing new drugs to market. The second is effective marketing. The third is an absence of governmental price controls. The fourth is a high rate of individuals with medical insurance. Next, effective legislative lobbying. And last, intellectual property protection. Next, we'll review some of the major competitors in the pharmaceutical manufacturing industry. The top 5 U.S. pharmaceutical companies by market share in 2023 included AbbVie, Bristol-Myers Squibb, Johnson & Johnson, Merck, and Pfizer. Strengths for AbbVie include their ability to maintain a reliable supply chain, which allows for adequate distribution of their products. A weakness is lack of diversity in their current medications. They have 3 immunomodulators, Humira, Skyrizi, and Rinvoq, which make up 80% of their revenue at this time. A strength for Bristol-Myers Squibb is strategic acquisitions, which diversify their medication offerings. A weakness is a high dependency on the U.S. market. Johnson & Johnson is a diversified company in multiple industries. They have an excellent distribution network which supplies customers worldwide. They also have a global presence with 250 subsidiary companies with operations in over 50 countries. Weakness includes that a majority of the revenue depends on only a few key products. Merck has a dual revenue stream, including human pharmaceuticals and their animal health segment. Weaknesses include poor forecasting of product demand and upcoming patent expirations on some of their key products.
The financial analysis for Pfizer from 2020 to 2021 shows gross profit margin and operational expense were higher than the industry average, but the net profit margin was remarkably higher during the COVID pandemic. But then came 2023, where their revenue decreased significantly and their net income decreased by $29.3 billion from 2022 to 2023, to end the year with just $2.1 billion, and that was due to their reliance on the COVID-19 products from the years before. This led to the stocks falling, this led to investor doubt, and Pfizer made the wise decision to start making some key acquisitions to grow their pipeline, and it had the cash flow in order to do so. Financial trends. First, leverage. Pfizer has a debt-to-equity ratio that's significantly lower than the industry average and a debt-to-asset ratio of 0.32%, showing that only 32% of its assets are financed by creditors. They've used a lot of their cash from the pandemic in order to pay for their acquisitions and debt. From a liquidity standpoint, their current ratio is decreased by 33% from 2022 to 2023. They still remain on equal footing with others in the industry. At this point, Pfizer's covering their debt. But what if another pandemic hits and they do not have the products to support it? Looking at operating margins, Pfizer has been above or just slightly below the industry average, but profitability has significantly deteriorated between 2022 and 2023. This has been in all aspects of operating margin, net margin, ROA, and ROE.
In summary, Pfizer is a leading global company by prescription sales. The company continues to grow through acquisitions, continued efforts for product development, and aims to recover from a financially poor 2023. Important acquisitions and associated product line expertise, as seen on this table, provide Pfizer with a variety of pharmaceuticals for its portfolio. Pfizer's commitment to its shareholders are to decrease the expenses by $4 billion over the next 2 years, to increase its profit and shareholder confidence in the company and its management, as well as to advance its product line, maximize current products, and provide the monies for R&D. As part of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, Pfizer aims to become one of the largest contributors of good to the world and to help the most vulnerable and underserved countries. The company is also doing this by supporting global health initiatives and its investments on frontline healthcare training. When looking at Pfizer's strengths, one has to consider its market-leading position. According to Forbes, this company is the 49th biggest publicly traded corporation by market capitalization, and it ranked first on the list of global top 10 biotech and pharmaceutical companies based on revenue in 2023. Pfizer counts with a diversified line of products that span from primary care products to specialty care ones, and thanks to its recent acquisitions, that diversification is expected to increase, as well as the variety of drug development pipeline. Pfizer is the third of the leading 15 pharmaceutical companies worldwide by number of originated drugs as of 2023. So over time, it has shown a good record of accomplishment for pharmaceutical approval of medications, which has led to an extensive drug portfolio. In addition, Pfizer's large-scale and global presence, as well as strong brand recognition and association with high-quality products, two additional strengths. When compared to other pharmaceutical brands worldwide, Pfizer ranked third on its brand's value in billion US dollars after Johnson & Johnson and Roche. Another strength is its focus on research and development, as well as innovation. Pfizer ranked third from a list of 50 leading global pharmaceutical companies by R&D expenditure, and although we can see on the left-sided graph how its R&D expenditure has fluctuated over time, this has overall increased over the past 10 years. Because of its brand recognition and prestige, Pfizer is better able to attract talent, and with 88,000 employees by 2023, the company has a larger employee base compared to its peers. Evaluating the company's weaknesses. Due to Pfizer's reliance on COVID-related products for a great deal of its revenue and the decreased demands for these after the COVID pandemic, the company had low liquidity ratios and significant revenue volatility in 2023. Also, because as we can see in the graph, most of Pfizer's revenue is generated in the US. It depends on the US market, so it is easily influenced by changes in the geopolitical environment in the country. The combined revenue from the COVID vaccine, Eliquis, and the pneumococcal vaccine encompasses 63% of the company's total revenue. Therefore, this dependency on a few key products for the company's revenue seems to be a weakness.
Opportunities for Pfizer include healthcare innovation, investment, development strategy, and expansion, becoming a leader in therapeutic options for cancer treatment, new patents, first mover opportunity, expansion in emerging markets, increasing demand for healthcare, expansion in the biosimilars market, and small pharmaceutical companies with promising products but lacking sufficient economies of scale. Threats to Pfizer include regulatory changes, inflation and rising costs, market pressures, vaccine hesitancy and misinformation, legal and litigation risks, intense competition, intellectual property and cybersecurity threats, patent expiration, and pricing pressures. We'll now move to our recommendations with a few key points. Pfizer will face challenges as they move forward with their value proposition of creating breakthroughs that change patients' lives. Pfizer's goals include better performance, innovation, attracting the best people, and utilizing those people to build on Pfizer's legacy. Rapid expansion and diversification of its product line can help separate Pfizer from its competitors. However, management needs to show profitability following expensive acquisitions. The companies Pfizer acquired were not yet profitable, but represented excellent potential. Pfizer's superior infrastructure and brand recognition should allow these acquisitions to integrate and add significant value. Pfizer will use the technology and research from each company to increase its offerings. To become profitable, they will need to eliminate low value and duplicate resources. If Pfizer can increase its profitability through these acquisitions, these new drug offerings will propel them for many years to come. The following recommendations are expected to help Pfizer not only sustain but improve their financial resilience and health.
Recommendation number 1 is related to their acquisition of various companies over the last 24 months. This was due to the poor financial decline they had in 2023, and they're trying to grow their business through their assets, scientific capabilities, product portfolio, and product pipeline. Each of these acquisitions brings years of experience and expertise to their specific field, and Pfizer is the key of bringing the infrastructure that's needed to grow the products. Bringing this many organizations with different areas of specialty and research technology under one umbrella has limitless possibilities, but it's our recommendation that Pfizer concentrate on restructuring and pivoting to a new business model quickly. This will require downsizing of physical plants when possible, work to train a new workforce in the Pfizer culture while also downsizing the workforce of redundant positions, determine a multi-point plan on where to start with new research and development, how to allocate the financial funds needed for that, and staying on their original mission of making the world a healthier place. These recommendations will help Pfizer focus more on their financial situation with improving their revenue, net income, and liquidity ratio. Pfizer made a critical error of not having enough diversity when 2023 came. They need to make sure that they do not have too much diversity with all these recent acquisitions. Pfizer needs to concentrate on what they have available immediately, adjust accordingly, and prepare a blueprint for the future. Our second recommendation involves cancer treatment. In 2022, there were an estimated 20 million new cancer cases, with an increase expected of over 35 million by 2050. The healthcare expenditure by 2027 is supposed to be highest in the oncologic disease category, with no change seen in sight. This graph shows a steady increase in the number of new cancer cases worldwide from 2020 to projected 2040. This graph shows the distribution of new cancer cases worldwide, where Asia and Europe have the most cases. The acquisition of Seagen should help Pfizer propel themselves with a new oncologic portfolio that will help them from a financial standpoint. It is our recommendation that Pfizer work on expansion of its international footprint, specifically focusing on countries that have high cancer rates, where its new line of chemotherapy drugs and future treatments will be beneficial to patients, as well as generating revenue for Pfizer. So by looking at the top 20 countries of cancer mortality rates worldwide and breaking it down to those that have the ability to fund treatment and being a first mover in these countries, we came up with a few countries to start with. A few of these countries are Armenia, Moldova, Montenegro, and Mongolia. They're all in the top 20 of most cancer deaths, and they also have mandatory government-funded health insurance. Pfizer should perform a cost analysis on entry into these countries and consider whether it's beneficial to pursue it on its own or to partner with a pharmaceutical vendor already in that company. And we suggest that they look at a 3 to 5 year window where they can actually create a footprint and see how successful they are. Being the first company to enter a country with an oncologic portfolio has great potential for further global expansion, which could help decrease some of the dependence on the U.S. market and increase its financial position by increased revenue. Approximately 1 in 6 deaths globally is attributed to cancer. The lives that could be saved annually goes back to Pfizer's mission of creating breakthroughs that change people's lives.
For the third strategic recommendation, and considering that some of Pfizer's weaknesses includes its dependence on a few key products and issues with liquidity and revenue volatility post-COVID. And on the other hand, one of its strengths is its early experience with automation of manufacturers and digitalization of clinical trials. Therefore, one could use this strength to combat the company's weakness by leveraging machine learning, deep learning models, GPT-4 chatbots, for digitalization and automation, and assisting with clinical trial safety, design, efficiency data documentation, patient selection based on likelihood of trial completion, and prediction of individual patients' risk, patient communication interface, manufacturing automation systems, and many others. Considering that healthcare innovation investment development strategy, system-wide digitalization, and automation will lead to more efficient clinical trials, faster drug manufacturing, and better documentation for regulatory approval of new patents, this will allow Pfizer's first-mover competitive advantage in the industry, as well as increase of its revenues and long-term decrease of operational costs. Based on this, we recommend for Pfizer to increase its technology with the goal of 80% automation and digitalization of its facilities and clinical trials in the next 10 years.
Recommendation number 4. Pfizer's strength is large-scale, global presence, well-developed manufacturing infrastructure, and distribution channels. Their opportunity is many smaller pharmaceutical companies with promising products but lacking sufficient economies of scale. Pfizer has significant manufacturing capabilities. For example, they scaled up production of the Comirnaty vaccine rapidly during the COVID-19 pandemic. Pfizer has robust distribution channels and expertise in marketing and sales. Acquiring additional small pharmaceutical companies is both risky and expensive. We recommend Pfizer increase partnership with pharmaceutical firms. Companies with promising new therapies may be unable to efficiently manufacture their products. Companies utilizing Pfizer's existing manufacturing infrastructure will experience a marginal cost significantly less than the cost of manufacturing these products on their own. This allows Pfizer to increase resource utilization while retaining a negotiated percentage of product revenue. This will increase Pfizer's overall revenue and profitability. Companies who already manufacture their products efficiently can take advantage of Pfizer's robust sales, marketing, and distribution channels. Smaller companies can increase their sales by utilizing Pfizer's marketing and sales infrastructure. Pfizer benefits by generating additional income. These strategies will allow Pfizer to increase their revenue much more rapidly than by bringing new candidate drugs to market. Smaller pharmaceutical companies benefit because they can focus on their core competencies. This strategy allows Pfizer to collaborate with many more companies than they would have the resources to purchase. In conclusion, Pfizer's mission is to become the world's most valued company to patients, customers, colleagues, investors, business partners, and communities. Pfizer has enjoyed a long history of success, including robust revenue in recent years. If they wish to remain successful, they will need to focus on building up their portfolio of new branded medications to exceed the number of drugs that will be going off patent. They will also need to maintain a constant supply of drugs in their pipeline. This can be accomplished through research and development, acquisitions, and partnerships with other pharmaceutical companies. Pfizer needs to decrease their expenses and monitor their debt burden. Their recent acquisitions are expected to provide adequate revenue and growth. Taking a close look at each division of the corporation and their long-term goals may allow for the best opportunity for growth, adjustment, and the ability to pivot when needed and faster next time. This will allow Pfizer to be more profitable and capable of reaching their goal to serve the underserved and to innovate every day to make the world a healthier place. This was Charles Pfizer's vision at the beginning, and it holds true today. This concludes our presentation. We appreciate your participation.